Managing your volumetric projects with HoloSuite starts with a workspace. Workspace is a folder on your computer where HoloEdit stores clips, compositions, autosave files, and other data necessary to edit volumetric video. First step when working on HoloEdit will always be creating a new workspace or opening an existing workspace. When you select a folder as your workspace location, HoloEdit will detect an index of files contained within. It'll generate .meta files, create a vol directory, and a project.info file. It's important to be aware that all files and folders contained within your workspace will be indexed, and corresponding meta files will be created. Because of this, we recommend that your workspaces should only be made in new empty folders or a folder specifically prepared with your volumetric capture data. The first time you open a HoloEdit, or after closing an active workspace, you'll see a screen prompting you to open a workspace folder to begin. If HoloEdit doesn't detect an already existing workspace, you'll need to create a new one. Select the Open a Workspace button to create or select a workspace. Once working within a workspace, use the File menu to open a new workspace or close your active workspace. When opening a workspace, you can start with a folder already containing your volumetric capture data or a blank slate. Add your data to a workspace by moving or copying data in via the File Explorer, or click and drag data into the project window in the HoloEdit UI. Your volumetric data should be contained in folders when brought into a workspace to keep your clips organized and prepare the data for import into HoloEdit. It's also important to ensure that your new workspace folder isn't nested within an existing workspace. Generally, you shouldn't interact with the automatically generated elements of your workspace, including your vol, .meta files, and temp folder, and you should only interact with the Workspace Directory in the following ways. To add data, move or paste the folder containing your data into the Workspace Directory or a subfolder other than the vol folder. You can do this via the File Explorer or by dragging and dropping content into the project window. Removing individual files within a clip isn't recommended, but can be achieved by deleting individual files and their corresponding meta files. And you can also delete files from the project window. When moving or renaming a file, use File Explorer or by right-clicking on the folder in the project panel and selecting Rename. If you have moved or renamed files using the File Explorer, ensure that you do the same to the relevant meta files as well. You shouldn't directly interact with the vol or index as they're maintained by HoloEdit, and opening or editing them may render your workspace unusable. On some long-lived or complicated workspaces, the vol folder may grow to a large file size. To clean up unused vol data or extract a small portion of a workspace without extra files, use the Manage Workspace tool, which we'll get into in a separate video. Alright, let's take a look at working with some data in HoloEdit. We'll start small. First, let's cover some key terms, those being sample, stream, and clip. For HoloEdit, we can call an independent piece of information, be it a mesh, texture, or animation data, a sample. When you put together a sequence of samples or a single type, they become a stream. When you have one or more streams imported into HoloEdit, they are called a clip. Taking a look at this image, we can see a breakdown of the different terms. The single OBJ mesh is a sample. The OBJ frame range from 0 to 10 is a stream, as is a PNG sequence from 0 to 10. The combined streams from mesh OBJs and texture PNGs form the clip when imported, though you could create a clip from any of the independent streams as well. Clips can be created at any time in HoloEdit when appropriate source assets are present in your workspace. To create a clip, ensure that your source assets are in their own folder in your HoloEdit workspace. They can be included in one folder, or different streams can be sorted into independent subfolders. You'll see files added to your workspace generate metadata once you return to HoloEdit as the files are indexed. With your data in the workspace, press the Make Clip button on the corresponding item in the project window to open the Make Clip window. We'll take an in-depth look at creating clips in HoloEdit in the Import Clip Overview video. Now that your data has been brought into HoloEdit, let's look at some of the terms for working within HoloEdit. First, let's look at compositions. In HoloEdit, edits made to clips and arrangements of volumetric videos are stored in what's called a composition. Compositions can be saved and loaded using the Save and Save As options in the File menu. Saved compositions should be stored in the current workspace and will be saved as json.lz files. Saved compositions can be loaded by double-clicking on the entry in the project view. Along with saving the current stage and interval configurations, saved compositions store job statuses such as active, waiting to download files from the server, and so on. A saved composition can be closed while intervals are processing on the remote job server, and HoloEdit will fetch the current job statuses and download all necessary files when opened back up. HoloEdit also has an autosave feature, and it will periodically save your composition to the autosave folder located in the root directory of your workspace. Autosaves include your current composition name plus the date and time. Autosaves will store composition and job result statuses like any other save file and may be deleted periodically. Compositions are made up of tracks, stages, and intervals. In HoloEdit, tracks are the basic building blocks of compositions. Each track is made up of one or more stages, beginning with the load asset stage that contains the clip created from your source data. From there, you can add other stages to your track to transform your source data as required. It's important to be aware that within a track, the lowest stage containing each specific stream type will be the track result for the stream type. This results in what's displayed in the viewport when viewing the whole track and what will be exported when you use the Export Composition option from the File menu. Because a lower stage of the same stream type overrides higher stages within the same track, only one load asset of each stream type, like mesh, texture, or animation, should be placed per track for the same frame range. If you have multiple load asset stages overlapping for the same stream type, you'll see that the lowest stage is what will be used for processing and the higher stage is ignored. You can also click on individual stages to view the effects of that stage in the viewport. Tracks are represented in the track view in the order that they are added to the composition, but the order doesn't affect any HoloEdit processing or export. Each stage performs its own operation on your data, such as loading data from a clip, adding skeletal data, or performing compression. These stages take in data from the already added stages above them and replace or alter that data going forward. To apply the effect of a stage, the frames being edited must be contained in an interval. An arbitrary number of intervals can be created per stage, each containing one or more frames for processing. Where stages represent the kind of work that's being done and to what data streams, intervals represent what portion of the clip samples will be processed and with what settings. For example, with a stage like stabilization, it's common to have multiple intervals, each with their own set of parameters. Finally, there are segments, which apply to stabilized data. Samples of stabilized data in HoloEdit are grouped into portions called segments. Segments are introduced to a HoloEdit track using stages such as stabilize and template match, or by adding a clip with pre-stabilized data to a load asset stage. Some processes and workflows only work with stabilized segments, such as SSDR and MARI export. Segments are identified by the two light gray brackets containing one or more frames. Additionally, the keyframe is indicated by the light gray diamond within the segment. This represents the original mesh that is used as the base topology and UV layout for the other frames within the segment. Processing in HoloEdit is done via jobs run on the local or remote job server. Each job is made up of individual work units, and as work units complete processing, they incrementally send finished data back to HoloEdit. If jobs corresponding to an open composition are being run, results from that job will be fetched as they are completed. If that composition is closed, the corresponding data will all be fetched as soon as the composition is reopened. In some cases, such as after deleting the relevant stage or intervals from the compositions, jobs may be considered abandoned within one composition but not another. Those are some of the important key terms that will help you start your journey using HoloEdit. Please follow us for more videos explaining workflows and other important elements of HoloEdit.